The songs we love, the songs we hate, the songs we've never heard. What do they all have in common? Music speaks to us in ways we may not realize. Discover how to use what you already have to get what you really want. You're listening to Power of a Positive Playlist on the OBBM Network. Here's your host, John Chester.
Hello, my name is John Chester. This is the Power of Positive Playlist. Thanks for your time. Today we're going to tell you a story. I like telling stories, much to my family's chagrin, because we're sitting down at the breakfast table, and I guess I'm getting old, because I'll go, yeah, I remember when, kind of thing. And the kids kind of roll their eyes, and their mom leaves the table. And anyway, but having said all that, I'm going to tell you a story about music, because that's how I process what has happened to me through music. A lot of entrepreneurs have learned that people really grip onto music as a learning tool. And that's true in a lot of different formats. So my story is about something that happened to me fairly early in my career as a music therapist. You see, back in 1997, I had several contracts at acute care, post-surgical rehab hospitals. And again, surgery was really different than what it is today. But my job was to do room visits. And it was a dark, early evening, kind of a winter's night. And I was on my last room visit for the shift. The only light that was on as I walked into this room was those annoying fluorescent bed lights that was over it. And I walked in and looked at this lady that I was to work with, and she was ancient. She was born around the time of Kipling. Oscar Wilde was alive, Booker T. Washington, John Wesley Harding. These people walked the earth. Volleyball and football had been created that year. The first auto race is staged, thereby, I guess, creating the first use of the phrase, "Let's go Brandon," no doubt. The first cinema is presented, which probably led to an increase of the size of women's purses so they could sneak in Milk Dud popcorns and Dr. Pepper. Nevertheless, she lay on her side, facing away from me in a kind of a fetal position, but not really locked up, but just laying there. And she had this long gray hair fanned out across the bed. See, gray hair is very rare on residents, in a managed care facility especially. It is normally cut short for ease of care, but hers was long, really long. If she was standing, it would have gone to her hips. She was slight of frame. I could see the blood course through her thready veins, and she seemed alone and vulnerable. My job for this type of room visit was to provide an intimate live music session to lightly engage and to have a social moment. She was probably comatose or in a medicated sleep and wouldn't respond. So looking at the list provided by the hospital on her religious preferences, I saw she was active in her church years ago. I sat down with my guitar and quietly played some of the old gospel tunes. I started with the Old Rugged Cross, and when the song was over, there was no noticeable response. And I moved on to the next hymn, In the Garden. Again, no change. The only sound in the room was just the telemetry, the machinery, the tech. I'd rather have Jesus. And through her reflection in the windows, I could see on the other side of the bed where she was facing. And I got up, though, to look at her face, and I'm looking down, and there was no change, nothing. So I reasoned to play one more, then I'd knock off of the evening, and I, of course, finished with Amazing Grace. The last chords resonated in the quiet of that dark hospital room. She hadn't moved or shown any sign of change. So not wanting to wake her, I stood up to leave. And from the other side of the bed came, "That was nice. Play another," she cackled. I paused halfway standing, one of those things like, I've been caught. I shrugged to myself. I sat back down, and moving the chair a little closer to a bed, I did as I was told. Blessed assurance. The song was over. I waited. Turning to leave, she cackled again. "That was okay. It's okay. Play another." As I leaned over the bed to see if her eyes were open, she said, almost with a shout, "Are you deaf? Play another." I was on my 6th or 7th hymn with her, and she still hadn't moved or even opened her eyes. When that one was over, she said, "You got any more like that?" Was her first question to me. Her first question. You have to understand, when you're dealing with a situation like that, she engaged with a question. She was done directing. She now wanted input. "Yes, ma'am." "Then play it, play it. You're wasting time. Just play it." Here I decided that if she could hold a conversation, she could handle something more upbeat. And I played "I Saw the Light," which I got about halfway through, and she cried out, "Stop it, stop it. You're playing it wrong. Stop it, just playing it wrong. Play a different one." I had become like a live jukebox to this demanding, self-serving woman, and I wondered if I should open my guitar case for tips. Throw some money in for me if you're going to demand requests, lady. So I adjusted my book. I had this big playbook I kept with me, and she asked, "What's your name?" And I said, "Well, my name's Ivor." And she goes, "Well, Ivor, can you read?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And she goes, "Good." I'll tell you more when we come back. This is John Chester and the Power of Positive Playlist.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Amanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us, or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
What is the role of American government anyway? Is the role of government to decide where I can go and where I can't? Is the role of government to work tirelessly to destroy vital infrastructure that keeps goods and services from my customers? Is the role of government to choose who can drive, fly, or ride according to mandated stipulations that threaten my body, health, mind, and conscience? Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Your voice, your feet, your vote, not just at the ballot box, but training to be a poll watcher, precinct chair, judge, or early ballot counter, so you are doing all you can to protect the fairly counted American vote. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America, because my voice
And my voice.
together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
How long has it been since you've updated your brand or restocked your promotional items? The more often people see your company logos and taglines, the more often your company comes to mind. That top-of-mind thinking is exactly what grows businesses and generates revenues. So at Big Feet Creations, I've dedicated my time and talent for over 30 years designing and illustrating print and digital products that people love and remember. Now we're adding website design and audio-video editing too. Call Big Feet Creations at 469-450-7350. I'm a big guy, and I've taken big steps to help you grow big. Big Feet Creations, 469-450-7350. Call today. That's 469-450-7350.
So welcome back, John Chester, Power of a Positive Playlist. I'm talking about a lady that I met way back in the 90s at a surgery rehab hospital. So she had just asked me my name, and she hadn't moved. And I told her, well, my name is Ivor. And I said, so what's your name? And she goes, Pebble. My name is Pebble, my Pebble. I said, wow, that's original, Pebbles. And I started to say until she stopped me, Pebble, Pebble, there's only one of me, it's Pebble. And then she goes, Ivor, Ivor. She goes, what kind of name is that? The woman with the name Pebble asked me. Welsh or Scandinavian, I said. Well then, Ivor, play another one. She said, just under her breath. And I did. And then another one, and another one. And she started to sing. Now, understand, when I walked in, I thought this patient was comatose. Flat affect, eyes closed, totally bunched up. But she sang too now. And she was asking me questions. And she was demanding. And what she was demanding, understand, at this woman who was easily over 100 years old, was boundaries from me. She was demanding how I treated her. She was expecting that. So anyway, as I'm going along, I continued to sing another and another one. And yes, she sang too. And she didn't mind correcting me if I blew the lyrics or sang flat. Flat, that was flat. You really, who taught you to sing it like that? But the music began to be overtaken by something. As I continued to sing, and I was supposed to only be there maybe 15 minutes. I was easily at 30 minutes here. And into the room started to come memories. You see, between each song was punctuated with stimulating conversation delivered with a sharp stick from this woman who still had not moved. She asked about my family and told me of hers. See, these hymns triggered memories of attending church in a clapboard building with vine-covered arbors out back where the faithful would meet on late summer afternoons to sing the sacred harp. Then adjourning for picnics on the ground with a box lunch. Her little town had people in it. There was like the Friedman family down by the springs that caught and sold fish and cooked them up on the barbecue. In the spring, the wind blew the smell right up Main Street, and everybody stopped for lunch. Their daughters, Octavia and Pearlie, were her best friends, and they made corn-husk dolls to sell at the county fair. Their mama would use them to ward off evil spirits all around the county and was often called upon to clear off crops, harvest cattle and houses of the locals. As I strummed my guitar, she reminisced of growing up in the deep South, of the print dresses her mom made from feed and flour sacks, and of growing up in the big house at the end of Pecan Lane with her 6 brothers and sisters. At one point, the night nurse stepped into the room and said they were closing the floor down for the patients to go to sleep. My 15-minute visit was now going on 2 hours. I got up and moved over to the edge of the bed and looked in her face. The taut skin had relaxed into a gentle smile. She opened her eyes and reached up to pat my face. Thanks for bringing me back, Ivor. I'd forgotten how loved I am, she said in a quiet voice. I thanked her and left a chart on the evening. In her chart, I noted how conversant she was through a bit of, she was a bit confrontational, yeah, but she was mentally sharp, social, and expressive, and I went home to see my wife and, well, my wife, we didn't have kids at that time. Next morning, my phone rang promptly at 9 a.m. It was the clinical supervisor of the hospital. Without a hello or how do you do, she instructed me to drop what I was doing and to come in to correct my charting from the night before. She was not the type to listen to reason, as she was often too busy stating her expectations, her disappointments of others, and looking for the shortest path over others to make a career move. Too much to prove with too little ability. Ivor, she said, you wrote in one patient's chart that they were, and I could hear her rustling the chart in the background, mentally sharp, social, and expressive. Yes, I said, that was Pebble. What a delightful Ivor, she interrupted. Her nursing home charts that Pebble has not been verbal and for over 10 years. Wow, that's weird because she talked my ear off last night. Ivor, you need to get in here right now, this morning, and amend this chart. State inspectors are in the building, and this kind of discrepancy could cause us to get a deficiency, she barked. But why would I do that? She had a conversation with me about music during my session. To say anything else would be a lie, I countered. Get in here or you're fired, she said as she slammed down the phone. Not hurrying, but eventually that morning I arrived on the floor and knocked on the shut door of the clinical supervisor's office. She had removed the chart from the nurse station to prevent the auditors from looking at it. The door was flung open and she thrust the chart into my hand without a word. As she started to slam the door, I blocked it with my foot. Looking into her face, I said, I'm not changing a thing until you come and see for yourself. I'm busy. She shoved the door against my foot. Maybe, but I bet the DON and the therapist administrator would love to sit in and see how you want me to falsify patient records, I countered. Snatching the chart back and slamming it on her desk and walking to Pebble's room. I picked up my guitar as we went by, and we both entered. Hello, Pebble. It's Ivor. How are you this morning? She said nothing. The clinical soup leaned against the door with her arms crossed, which is body language. A bit nervous, I said, so I'm going to play some more songs for you. And you'll find out what happens right after this. John Chester, Power of a Positive Playlist.
Multiple streams of income are the local business owner's new protection against inflation. If you enjoy sharing health insights and helping others live their healthiest lifestyle possible, you can create wealth for yourself and your family by doing what you love to do every day. Call 469-939-8933. Discover how to incorporate additional financial revenue into your love of health and wellness and the work you're already doing, using your time wisely and leveraging networks you already work with. Ready to learn more? Join the Wellness Institute's Carola Broadus, subject of the book, Look Beyond Tomorrow, to help even more people realize their potential and achieve their health goals. Build a side business with products sourced in North America and protect your bottom line. Call 469-939-8933 today. That's 469-939-8933. Call now.